Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow and welcome to the week ahead video for August 22nd, 2021. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Last week was a great week for FX volatility, and it was like some of the best volatility that we've seen, and it's the summer. So if you guys thought summer was going to be slow, well, it kind of was up until last week. But we're going to talk about last week's moves, and we're going to talk about the Jackson Hole Symposium coming up. And really, my focus is going to be on the dollar today. But before I do that, I got to mention a few things. If you haven't tried out ForexAnalytix, you should try it. It's $1 for 10 days. You can try it out. You get the premium version when you're trying out ForexAnalytix for $1. So you get in the chat rooms, you get the app anyway. You'll get all the advanced analysis. So make sure you try it out. It's $1. And then even if you decide to go to the light version after the fact, that's fine. You still have an app, and you at least got to try the premium version to see if you'd like to do that sometime in the future. Plus, you get access to all of our private webinars that we do throughout the course of the week. Speaking of our webinars, if you guys haven't registered for our free F.A.C.E webinar, my analysis today is really going to be on the dollar and the S&P and basically equities, risk appetite heading into this week's key event, which is obviously the Jackson Hole Symposium. But my analysis and the rest of the team are available for you once a day in the mornings. Well, in the mornings here in North America, and it's free. So this way you can get my views and the rest of the team's views for free. And then we obviously do advanced analysis for all the different instruments, and that's part of being part of the ForexAnalytix community. But even if you want to join the free webinar, make sure you do so. It's called the F.A.C.E webinar. Just register right here. Also, if you guys haven't checked out Trader Summit, it's a great resource. So many analysts and so many traders and so many people in the industry posting their ideas, posting their interviews, great analysis throughout the course of the week. You can see so many of them. And so make sure you check it out. It's a great way to start your day when you're trading. So let's talk about and let's go into the markets. Now, it is the weekend, so our analysis is getting done as we speak. It's not all done. So I'm just actually going to go over to live charts. But if you want to get, updated analysis on like basic technical analysis, for certain currencies, you can find them here, and you can go through all the 30 instruments that we have. There's so many different tools here on ForexAnalytix to use as well. Let's talk about the dollar, and I'm going to just give you my 2 cents about the dollar. We're going into this week with some pretty lofty expectations regarding, the Fed chairman. And, to be completely frank with you guys, I've been a dollar bull, but going into this event, I don't know if the market has really its expectations set too high, and if it does, the dollar could fail up here. I'm hoping the Fed chairman really gives the market and gives all of us an idea of when tapering is going to start, having an understanding that it's going to be by the end of this year and what that number is going to be like. But I'm personally thinking that my expectations might be a little too high. Now, that comes with a price, right? The market is going to move if expectations are met, or if the market's underwhelmed. If the market's underwhelmed by what the Fed chairman has to say and says, this is more of the same, well, the dollar is probably going to sell off, and we're going to pull back, and we're going to end up getting like this false breakout in the dollar. The flip side of that is, if the Fed chairman's like, look, we have to really start tapering, and it's going to be at X dollars amount a month, and if it meets expectations, and people think that it is happening, going to the end of this year, like let's say November, December timeframe, it looks like to be it, the dollar could stretch its legs, and we could have further to go. Let's not ignore the fact that the dollar did close and break out territory this week. Now, we rallied to 2021 highs. If you were in the ForexAnalytix community on Friday, we knew that we were in an ascending wedge. It was overbought, and the dollar would pull back. Frankly, I'm looking at the dollar really in a simple fashion. I know the breakout point here for new 2021 highs, we're right here at 96 or excuse me, 93. I wanted to say 93.60, but it's 93.50. Okay, that's where we broke out. Now we closed basically at that breakout point, which tells us the market is not 100% convinced that we're ready to go higher, and we're not 100% convinced on what's going to happen this next week in Jackson Hole. So I'm looking at it, like I said, in a little bit more simple fashion when you're just talking dollars. I'm looking at this breakout point for the wedge. So you can see the wedge that we had set up. It is a bullish wedge. If you guys have been following us throughout the course of the week, we've talked about this being a bullish wedge. Consistent highs, higher lows, breakout was coming. The chances were that we're going to break out higher. We did. So now, as long as we're above this 93.20 level, I retain or maintain being a bull. It's where I start to get a little, second guessing the dollar is below 93, obviously. And then really, if you're looking at, just technicals here, you don't want to break back below this lower trend line, which is that lower trend line. Let's just imagine going into the, beginning of the week, knowing that Jackson Hole Symposium is really kicking off Thursday, Friday, the chairman speaks. So, Thursday, Wednesday night, you're going to start to hear, different murmurings from all these Fed governors and regional Fed chairmen. And, we want to hear from the horse's mouth or Fed Chair Powell on Friday. But you're going to get some murmurings. My assumption is the dollar will maintain in these levels, above 93, between 93, 93.50, probably for the beginning of the week. And then whether we decide to go higher, whether or not we decide to go higher by Friday is going to be all dependent on what the Fed chairman says. Really, it's, break below this like 92, let's say roughly 92.80. That's where I really start to think, okay, the dollar did post a false breakout. We're going to have to look for like the next couple of weeks, the dollar to move lower. And the reason why that would be happening is because the Fed chairman didn't give us much information and, maintained probably more of a dovish stance and didn't give the hawks as much as they wanted. Now, if the Fed chairman is a little bit more hawkish, we start to get a really good idea of when tapering is going to happen, dollar amounts, yada, 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 and the market can make those assumptions. That's what puts the dollar higher. Now, again, I said this all comes with a consequence, right? Well, what I mean by that is you got to go look at stocks. Stocks are, and this is just the S&P 500. You can do your own analysis on the rest of the market, whatever you want, whatever you're looking at. But we are and continue to be in an ascending wedge until we break below last week's lows. So let me say that again. Until we break below last week's lows, there is zero reason to be bearish. Now, you could look at the S&P and say, well, it's divergent and we're in a wedge, so it's eventually going to turn lower. Sure, it could. It could turn lower, maybe above 4,500 a month from now. Okay. It could turn lower next week. But let the market prove it to you versus making an assumption you know what's going to happen, because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure you don't know what's going to happen. So let the market tell us what it's going to do versus making an assumption what you think it's going to do, right? That's probably a smarter play at this point, because it is really all hinging on what the Fed chairman says come Friday at Jackson Hole. Now, obviously there could be other things that influence the market, but that's what the market's focused on right now. Could we be sitting here between now and then, and the Jackson Hole Symposium and China invades Taiwan? Yeah, that could happen. And yeah, the landscape of the market would greatly and enormously change at that moment in time. But that's not what we're dealing with. And if you trade just thinking, well, it's going to happen some point, so I might as well just, be short because it's going to happen. Well, you might end up being early, way too early, or maybe it never happens. So don't make an assumption at this point. We know where the break points are in the market, right? We know where the S&P break point is. It's basically at 43.50. You break below 43.50, things turn bearish. And, I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and he's like, hey, well, Blake, China's going to invade, Taiwan, and, we're going to get up one morning, the market's going to be down 3 or 4%. Probably, that's probably going to be the case. And unfortunately, there's nothing you could really do about that, right? So you can't really short the market on the assumption that that's going to happen because you don't know that's going to happen. Anyway, so I went around and around and around conversation like that earlier this week. Bottom line is we know where the break point is. We know S&P below 4,300, 4,350, excuse me, it's bearish. But based on what we're seeing here, the wedge could extend itself towards 4,500, maybe even higher than that. If you look at the 161% extension of just, and I'm going to go intraday really quick for you guys. If you look at the 161% extension of this last week's move, this last week's move lower, we're already at the 78% retracement. We break above these highs right here at that's 43 what 50. 40, yeah, basically, or I'm sorry, 44.50 is what I meant to say. If we're above 44.50, I mean, next thing you know is we're challenging all-time highs, and then maybe all the way up to the 161% extension. 45.17 to 45.60 would be my best guess at where we're going on a breakout higher. Can that happen? You bet. I mean, think about how the market closed at the end of the week. We closed on a very strong note, and how many people were shorting the S&P and really bearish equities. Maybe a lot of people got wiggled out right there, as we drop below 4,400. So with the stock market moving higher, risk appetite still strong. That's one of the reasons why the dollar is struggling up here. Okay. And again, I'm going to reiterate the dollar, if the dollar moves higher, it's probably because of Jackson Hole, right? Or some sort of bout of risk aversion. And if that happens, that probably means the S&P is breaking down as well if the dollar is in rally mode from here. Okay. There are a few other things that we've got to pay attention to this week. And you can go onto ForexAnalytix and go to the calendar feature. It'll take you to the investing.com site, and you can go see all of the other events that are happening throughout the course of the week. But we have German PMIs actually Monday morning. We have Eurozone PMIs and services and manufacturing data all coming out on Monday. We have some U.S. manufacturing PMIs coming out on Monday as well. On Wednesday, we're going to have durable goods. German IFO is actually happening Wednesday as well. And then we do have U.S. GDP and then U.S. PCE on Friday. Now, that's a little tricky because we have the Fed's favorite inflation gauge coming in on Friday. It's not CPI, it's PCE, and what the prices index is suggesting. That comes in on Friday early morning, and then Fed Chairman Powell speaking a couple hours after that. So, does he have the data beforehand? Probably. Is that data going to influence decision making on Friday ahead of Fed Chairman Powell's speech? It could. So we've got to be radar up. Listening for that, listening for what that data is on Friday. So again, I just want to say one last time here, make sure you register for the F.A.C.E webinar every day and come view it, because myself and the rest of the team will give you a better idea of what's happening in, the sterling, the Aussie, some of the key levels that we've hit, where we think we might go. I could go for probably another 20 or 30 minutes and put you all asleep by doing so, but I really just wanted to focus on the dollar and what's happening at the end of this next week with the Jackson Hole Symposium and what's happening in equities. So I hope you guys receive this well, and remember, if you like this type of content, make sure you give us a thumbs up if you're watching us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel down below so you don't miss any of our analysis throughout the course of the week. I have a lot of people, whether they're in Europe or in Asia, they might miss a webinar. They go back to YouTube, to our channel, watch that webinar that was a couple hours earlier just to get caught up. So make sure you do that as well. Guys and gals, my name is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for spending your time with me. I really appreciate you. I'll see you on Monday.